Hello, so today we're going to talk about extraction, manipulation, and visualizations, aka EMV. So we're going to do most of our work in this class using the traditional R markdown file. So we can just say EMV review for our title in this R markdown file, and go ahead and erase all this tutorial information. And what we will now do is insert an R chunk and then just copy and paste this code. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about extraction. So this line of code, reading an Excel file, is the mechanism on how you read information from Excel. So we're going to copy and paste this, and note that when we do this, for some strange reason, each line of code doesn't get its own line. So we're just going to make sure that happens. The library read Excel allows you to read Excel or use read Excel function, which is going to be this function here, read underscore XLSX. This setwd is setting your working directory to where your file is located. You should be able to download this Excel sheet from the website, and you can go ahead and run this line of code. So great. And so we can view this. There's a lot of ways of viewing this, but we can go to our environment and click on Amazon World Data and just look at it from as a sheet within R. Okay, so you have item, price, in stock, stars, the number of stars of the product is the product. It's categorical variable, price is quantitative, in stock is categorical binary, and stars is going to be quantitative. Great. Another way of extracting information, right, is to use the library HTML tab. Okay, so we go ahead and let's do a little practice run. What we're going to do is go to this Wikipedia page, or at least use this function. Okay, before we actually run this line of code, let's actually go to Wikipedia and see exactly what we're getting. So if I copy and paste this and go to Wikipedia, all right, so I want to get this table here. Okay, I want to get this table here. So in order for me to do that, I can go ahead and run this. All right, and when I do Billboard DF, if I view it this way, I can actually get the actual information from Wikipedia, the Billboard charts, top 100. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So from there we talk about HTML tabs. So that means HTML tables. And this is read Excel. So the next thing we want to do is talk about some manipulation. So when it comes to manipulation, there's select, mutate, and filter. And so let's go ahead and practice. Let's see when it comes to select. Remember, when it comes to using these functions, you have to load the tidyverse function. Okay, and using the tidyverse function or tidyverse package, that allows you to use pipe. Okay, pipe allows you to have the first argument of that should be used within a function to be outside of it. And so what this is going to allow us to do is just select the verse to or just VS and MPG. Okay, so if I run this, I get VS and MPG. And remember, if you don't remember what VS and MPG is, you just do help. Empty cars, and when I run this within the help function, I get to see what the variables mean. So VS is engine and MPG is miles per gallon. Okay, what you would then do, all right, so let's go to mutate. Let's discuss this mutate function. And remember, since it's on different line, you got to make sure that each line is on a different line of code. Okay, so this mutate function is essentially making your miles per gallon into a categorical variable. So if miles per gallon is less than or equal to 15, it is going to be considered low miles per gallon. If miles per gallon is greater than 15 and less than or equal to, I say less than or equal to 21, then it's going to be a medium miles per gallon. And when miles per gallon is greater than 21, it's high miles per gallon. So when I run this, it's going to create an additional variable. And if I just click to the right, you can see your categorical miles per gallon. Okay. Let's do one more function within manipulation, and that is to filter. So what we're going to do is filter on VS. I believe VS is engine. And so when VS is equal to 0, we're only looking at when it's a V-shaped engine. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay. So when VS is equal to 0, if you click here to your right, you can notice that all of these are 0. You go to next, that allows you to scroll down to the next set of data, next set of rows, and all these are 0. So it's doing what we asked it to do. Great. Fantastic. So that is pretty much the functions that we talked about in the first data science class in terms of manipulation. And last but not least, when it comes to visualizations, let's talk about bar plots, box plots, and scatter plots. So here, okay, and I'm not articulating this, but we're using Control-Alt-I in order for us to create an R trunk. I believe it's Command-Alt-I within Max. So here, when it comes to this situation for bar plots, you're typically going to be using this for categorical variables. Okay, so we take empty cars, we put into the ggplot function, right? And our aesthetic, okay, is going to be VS. So we're going to say X is equal to VS, but we're going to use characters because in R, VS is a 0 or a 1, so we want it to be treated as a character. And so make sure that the plus sign is at the same level, okay, on the same line. And when we run this without any bells and whistles, we get what we want. We get the count of those that are V-shaped versus those that are the other shape, which is straight. Okay, so that's how ggplot works for bar plots. For box plots, it works the same way. We create another R chunk. Okay. And we make sure that each line gets its own specific line. That's fantastic. And then we go ahead and just plot this. Go ahead and just run this, where we're going to be using the layer box plot to represent this quantitative variable. Okay, so it looks something like this. And we spoke about how to remove all these numbers, but we won't do that here in this video. But this is the traditional box plot. And then last but not least, let's talk about our last function, or at least our last visualization, and that is a scatter plot. So that shows you the relationship between two quantitative variables. So you have to plug in two quantitative variables into your aesthetic, your X variable and your Y, and then you're going to use G on point. Again, we're not making this any pretty, we're not making it pretty or anything. We're just running as is. So this allows us to see the relationship between these two variables. One can argue this has miles per gallon has a negative relationship with weight. Okay, and as we did in the first video, we're going to go ahead and save this so that we can compile it. Let's go ahead and save this in our folder, desktop, data science. We can call this review 2 practice. Okay, save this, and if I want to compile it as HTML, I'll compile it as HTML. I believe it's running. Sorry, my apologies. I didn't. That's what I wanted to go to. Yes. So here it has everything that I wanted, all the code that I ran accordingly, as well as the plots. Okay, so thank you. I look forward to talking more about this with you in class. Have a good day.